Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Alestes Brichardi for Practical Fishkeeping Readers Poll Top 40 Fish Store in the UK and runner-up for the whole south of England, Pond Life Aquatics and Tropical Fish London. And in today's video, a look at some of the stunning species we have in stock. Let's get into it. First things first, for those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Alestes Brichardi, and we do things a little bit differently here at Pond Life Aquatics. We order everything continent by continent, and it's because it helps people understand where their fish are from in the wild, and it allows us to give people the best advice on how to keep their fish. Also, occasionally we have school groups in that it just allows us to educate them easier. But without further ado, on with the rest of the tour. But first, I would just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who voted for us in the Practical Fishkeeping Readers Poll. We came second in the whole of the south of the UK for independent stores. So thank you so much. It means the world to us. But I won't waffle too long about it here. Let's get on with our new stock. Starting off in South America, we have a gorgeous L-cat, the L191 Dull-Eyed Royal Pleco. Originating from Colombia, from the Rio Caqueta and Japura Basin, this is a really chunky Pleco. They need a minimum of 300 litres to be kept well. This is a long-term commitment Pleco. This is not suitable for nano tanks. This is something that if you have a large display tank and you want something quite impressive as a Pleco, this is the L-cat for you. Getting to a maximum size of 35 to 40 centimeters long, this is a truly impressive fish. And like a lot of Royal Panaques, which are a subsection of L-cat species, they are a proper wood eater. These guys need to have wood in their aquarium. It's not like some species that would prefer it overall for having hiding spaces and allowing biofilm. These guys actually need it to survive. If you ever catch them on the glass, when they aren't just attached to wood, as this guy behind me is, you can see that they actually have adaptable teeth that allow them to chew through wood, which is why you will often see, particularly for L-cats, oak and algae wafers as opposed to just your straight algae. In general, Royal Panaques are a peaceful species, so as long as they're kept in larger community spaces, they should be fine. However, they can be territorial to their own kind. As such, we would only recommend really keeping one, especially because of their size. It can be difficult to home more than one in a single aquarium. That being said, they are just such an interesting species of L-cat. And again, it's cool we're able to get some of these larger species as we do have more and more customers who have larger aquariums. Broken lines are just absolutely stunning and definitely worth a look if you are in the market for a cool looking bigger Pleco that isn't your typical gibby set. Now moving down into Asia, in this tank behind me we have something that's a little bit interesting. We have some reticulated flying fox, which are just absolutely beautiful. They originate in Thailand and Malaysia, and very similar to their Siamese flying fox cousins, they are a proper algae eater. Now, these guys are that little bit more interesting with those reticulated bodies and the black spot on the tail, as opposed to the long black line that your Siamese algae eaters typically have. We have a mixture of both in this aquarium behind us, and honestly, looking at them, I absolutely adore the reticulated variant. Now, these guys are often sold as an algae eater and cleanup crew because they do just eat pretty much every kind of algae you can think of. However, a lot of the time you'll find they will be sold to people with far too small aquariums. These guys need a minimum of 120 liters to really survive and thrive. When they are young, they look quite small, but they can get realistically up to about 15 centimeters long. So they need that space to be able to move back and forth effectively. And as they get older, they can become territorial to their own kind. So either think about keeping these guys singularly or keeping them in a group of 5. Very similar to something like your female betters, where if you have that group, the aggression diffuses outwards. Very similar to your Lake Malawi species as well, where if you have that bigger group, you're not going to get nearly as many issues as if you only have 2 or 3, as opposed to that larger group of fish. All in all, I think the reticulated flying fox is just an excellent addition to anyone who's got a slightly larger aquarium that is having issues with algae, but also wants something that is kind of striking and beautiful to look at, something that little bit different. I think reticulated flying foxes just really, really hit home. And next up in Asia, we have a species that I've talked about previously on the channel, but I think are just woefully underrated, and we did get an absolutely stunning restock of them in. We have some Pentazona Barbs. Now, speaking of practical fish keeping, this month there is an article that they have done about setting up a blackwater aquarium. Now that kind of aquarium would be absolutely ideal for Pentazona Barbs. Native to Borneo, Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula, Pentazonas typically need soft, acidic waters, which having a blackwater setup will provide for them beautifully. Ideally, if you want to keep these guys, which if you look at them, I can absolutely see why, you need about an 80-liter aquarium, and you realistically want to be keeping them in groups of 6 or more. What I think is so special about Pentazonas in particular is they look so similar to something like a tiger barb, which obviously tigers need about a 200-liter aquarium to be kept effectively. These guys only needing realistically like an 80-liter aquarium to do well. It's just so much more manageable, particularly for people who haven't got all that much space, but do want to have that beautiful barb behavior that you get. But you don't just have to keep these guys as a species-only blackwater setup. They'll do really, really well with loads of different species. Things like Rasbora, Danios, Gouramis. Pentazonas will generally get on absolutely fine, which again just sets them apart from their tiger barb cousins that will just nip at pretty much anything that moves. Pentazonas are just a gorgeous, relatively peaceful little species that realistically, if you were looking for a project or were looking to set up a blackwater aquarium like Practical Fishkeeping are recommending this month, then I genuinely think that Pentazonas might be the way to go. Obviously, as is the case with pretty much every other fish species, making sure they've got a varied diet of dry, frozen and live is going to bring the best colorations out of them. And if you are keeping them at home and finding yourself struggling a little bit with them, do think about getting some botanicals in there. Anything like alder cones, Indian almond leaf. At this time of year in the UK, you can literally go out, grab a handful of oak leaves, and as long as you boil them off and make sure they've been thoroughly rushed before going into your aquariums, you're going to have a really, really good time. If you are interested in foraging your own botanicals, I've got a whole YouTube video about that, and I will be doing an updated version of that as I set up a blackwater biome in the future. But for now, that's all from Asia. And let's move on to Africa. Now, we've got 2 species in Africa that I've talked about recently on the channel, but couldn't be more different. And also, I feel like need to be highlighted again, both of which are again featured in this month's Practical Fishkeeping, weirdly. First up, I want to talk about possibly one of my absolute new favorite fish, and that is the Lamprologus multifasciatus, or the multi-shell dwelling cichlid. Now, these guys hail from East Africa or Tanganyika, and are probably the smallest and easiest to keep little shell dweller that you are possibly going to find in the trade. Usually, if you're looking at Tanganyikan tanks, you're looking at a minimum of about 100 litres for things like Alestes. But the great thing about multifasciatus is that they realistically can get on in about a 60-litre aquarium. These guys are absolutely beautiful. Now, obviously, they're going to prefer having a long aquarium as opposed to tall, as these guys are shell dwellers. If you are going to set up an aquarium, shells are an absolute must. Realistically, you're not going to have many plants in there or rocks. The entire base of your aquarium should be filled with clusters of different shells. And even just judging by the footage I took earlier, you can see these guys really do make themselves at home in their shells. They are a proper colonial little species. When found in the wild, you can find hundreds of them in a close-knit community. And realistically, you're going to be able to breed them really, really, really easily in London tap water. These guys, as is the case with a lot of cichlids from Africa, just get along well with our tap water, needing pHs from a minimum of about 7.8 all the way up to 9 and high mineral content. These guys are just built for London tap water, as weird as that sounds. So weirdly enough, for London fish keepers, if you're looking for something that's almost beginner friendly and you're not too worried about having a community tank, you just want something that's super interesting, multifasciatus are just the way to go. With these stunning bands across their bodies, beautiful hints of blue throughout them, and just these amazing behaviors as they spar off against each other, go in and out of shells. I don't think you can get much better if you're just looking for an interesting fish that you're going to be able to get along with really easily. Do think about keeping them in groups though. Don't just get one and leave it as is. They are a colonial little species, even if they are a little bit territorial with each other. And you're just going to have an absolutely amazing time. Now, unlike Mbuna, these guys are proper little micro predators and do need a varied diet. If you want to get the best out of them, live food is really ideal. Things like Daphnia, brine shrimp, or frozen is going to be absolutely fine. They will take prepared foods as well. However, I do think that particularly for little micro predator species, giving them a meatier diet is probably the best way to go about it. And if you do want to encourage spawning and breeding, giving them that varied food is going to make everything work a little bit better. These guys are probably the best intro into Rift Lake species. And I'm so torn between having a 60-litre licorice gourami tank at home or having 60-litre Lamprologus tank. If you want more in-depth information about them, check out this month's Practical Fishkeeping. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm just a massive fan. But we've got one more species in Africa. Now, in this tank behind me, I wanted to again highlight our Alestes Brichardi because they've really started to color up. These stunning tetra from the Congo River Basin are just absolutely mesmerizing, and they've really started to show off those shimmering blues as they've started to settle in a little bit more. Now, as these guys get bigger, they are going to develop extended finnage, and realistically, these are just adolescent fish. Alestes Brichardi can easily get 15 centimeters long, and as they get bigger, they do become quite active and boisterous as a fish. That being said, they're not aggressive. They are just a much more active swimming tetra species. So if you do want to keep these guys, think about setting up a 200-litre tank minimum. Something like a Rio 240 would be absolutely ideal for them. I know Aqualantis have a new tank out that I think would do really, really well for these guys. And realistically, if I was going to be setting this up, I would be thinking about probably going towards a black water setup, something that's a little bit tea-stained and dimmer. You'll be able to see those blues really pop through the water column. And then as those reds on their finnage come out as they get older, they're just going to look absolutely stunning. I do just think they are one of those species that is completely overlooked in the trade, and they do deserve highlighting more. And if you are in the position where you have an aquarium, you're not quite sure what you want to be putting in there, but you want something that's that little bit interesting, something you don't see every day, Alestes Brichardi really feed that hole. What a weird turn of phrase. In terms of feeding, you should again be giving them a diversity of foods. Bloodworm, Daphnia, giving them a well-prepared dry food as well is going to really help accentuate their colors as they settle down into your aquarium. And I'll put on screen a picture of a fully developed Alestes Brichardi because I feel like it doesn't do them justice seeing them in this tank at the moment. And I'm honestly quite excited to see if they do start to color up more. I'm genuinely thinking about moving these guys over from here into the plant tank on the other side. It's still in keeping with Africa, as we have Crebensis in there right now. And once we sell the final crib out of there, I think it would probably just make sense to have that amazing shoal of Alestes Brichardi bombing around that aquarium, allowing them to really grow and develop to their full size. And that is it from me here at Pond Life Aquatics. I know this is a shorter video. Next week, we will hopefully have a bigger order to show off and some things coming out to quarantine that will be really interesting to show you guys. But I didn't want to skip this week just because I do just want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you to every single person who voted for us in the PFK Practical Fishkeeping Readers Poll for 2025. It's insane to me that we got as high as we did on the list. So thank you so much. We are going to keep improving here at Pond Life Aquatics. We've got plans for a new fish room. We've got plans for a new quarantine space. Right now, we've literally just finished doing the fiberglassing on our front riverbed planting from out front of the shop. That will just be a beautiful feature for people to be able to see. In terms of new content, we are going to be showing off a new video next week, which is going to be the second part of our gift giving series, where if you aren't interested in the gift giving series, there will be a fun little aquascape in there, which I will show you a sneak peek of now. So if you want to see how I made that, then do tune in to next week's video. But if not, I shall see you all for our next stock tour, and I hope you'll join me again next time for this Pond Life. Thank you.